Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Natasha Kirchak here with ILTV's Morning Briefing.
It looks like the Israeli Prime Minister's aides are now getting entangled in his corruption cases. Israeli police are now alleging that Netanyahu's former spokesman Nir Hefetz tried to bribe a judge by offering him the position of Attorney General if he were to drop a fraud case against the leader's wife, Sarah. This is just one of two new bribery cases revealed by the courts on Tuesday. The second case also involves the former spokesman Nir Hefetz, who happens to be very close to Netanyahu. Hefetz was also allegedly part of the corruption involving the telecoms firm Bezeq, which is accused of accepting benefits in exchange for providing favorable coverage of Netanyahu on Walla. The Israeli news site also happens to be controlled by Bezeq's shareholder Raoul Wallenberg. The Israeli Prime Minister and his wife have denied all wrongdoing, and Netanyahu has vowed to remain in office to serve out his term, which runs until 2019. The current Attorney General is considering indictments in all the investigations surrounding the Prime Minister, but a decision is possibly months away. Now here's an outlandish story. Police have just detained 20 suspects in southern Israel who were impersonating IDF border guards so that they could traffic drugs. Over the weekend, the police raided the Bedouin town of Bir Hadaj, where they recovered tons of stolen equipment from the IDF. 2 army jeeps, IDF helmets, uniforms, night vision binoculars, and weapons were all discovered, along with several greenhouses for cultivating marijuana. Police believe the smugglers were pretending to be Israeli troops patrolling the border so that they could ship and receive drugs from Egypt. The gang is reportedly made up of around 20 people. Bir Hadaj is only 20 minutes away from the Egyptian border and has long been known as a drug smuggling site. So it's not a surprise that police believe it will take a lot more than just this bust to prevent future drug exchanges. Several streets across Israel are named after Raoul Wallenberg, a man known as the Swedish Schindler for his work saving thousands of Jews during World War II. For years now, his family has been trying to figure out what happened to him, but that seems to be harder than ever now that Russia has refused to open the files of the Swedish diplomat. A Moscow court has just rejected a lawsuit by the Wallenberg family to access Raoul's files, saying that publishing the files could end up releasing information on his cellmates that, quote, not every relative wants. Raoul Wallenberg served as a special Swedish envoy in Nazi-controlled Hungary, where he issued Swedish identity papers to tens of thousands of Jews to allow them to flee the country and likely death. When the Soviets entered Budapest just a few months before the end of the war, Wallenberg was summoned to their headquarters. Afterwards, the then 32-year-old was never seen again. In 1957, the Soviet Union released a document claiming that Wallenberg had been jailed in a Russian prison and that he died of heart failure there in 1947. But his family has refused to accept this version of events. They specifically want to know if Wallenberg was prisoner number 7, who according to records was interrogated just 6 days after his alleged death. Last year, Sweden officially declared Wallenberg dead, but his body has never been returned to his family. The state is urging the High Court of Justice to delay the demolition of a Jewish outpost in the West Bank by 3 months, all as part of a petition submitted by its residents. The Nutiva Vote outpost is supposed to be razed in 14 days because it was built illegally. But the state says they need more time to build a caravan community to house the 15 families that will be ousted from the demolition. The delay would also allow for another plan to be advanced that would grant post facto building permits to 7 of the 15 homes slated for demolition. Those 7 homes reportedly sit only marginally on land that doesn't belong to the state, which means if the plan is adopted, only the problematic parts of the houses would be sawed off. In other words, only 8 homes would require complete demolition by security forces. The families are pledging to evacuate the outpost without resistance if the High Court accepts their appeal. An IDF soldier who was killed in a massive car crash last week has just been buried hours after his organs were donated to help save 6 other people. 23-year-old Shiloh Simantov died on Monday, days after he had been seriously injured in an accident on Route 6. A truck hit an army convoy he was riding in, killing 2 other soldiers on the scene and injuring many more. Now, Simantov's organs had been transplanted, with his heart going to a 59-year-old, his liver to a 29-year-old, and his lungs to a 34-year-old. One of his kidneys has been given to a 35-year-old, the other to a little 11-year-old girl, and the lobe of his liver has just been placed inside of a 2.5-year-old. At his funeral, he was praised for his giving nature, with one officer commenting that even in death, he saved the lives of 6.
That's all for now. I'm Natasha Kirchek, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.